The Hermetic Principles, Unlocking the Secrets of the Universe. The Hermetic Principles, often attributed to the mythical figure Hermes Trismegistus, are core teachings in the spiritual and philosophical tradition known as Hermeticism. These principles are a set of 7 esoteric laws that reveal the underlying order of the universe and our relationship to it. Rooted in ancient Egyptian, Greek, and later Western philosophical traditions, the principles offer a comprehensive worldview, bridging science, philosophy, and mysticism. The Hermetic teachings are especially relevant in the modern world as they touch on profound questions of consciousness, reality, and human potential. Understanding these principles can offer not only spiritual insight but also practical tools for living in harmony with the universe. Origins of Hermeticism. The roots of Hermeticism can be traced back to Hermes Trismegistus, a composite deity combining the Egyptian god Thoth, the god of wisdom, and the Greek god Hermes, the messenger of the gods. This synthesis created a figure associated with wisdom, alchemy, magic, astrology, and divine communication. Hermetic teachings were first codified in the Hermetic corpus, a collection of texts that covers a range of topics including alchemy, metaphysics, astrology, and spiritual guidance. The texts were likely written between the 2nd century BCE and the 3rd century CE and became foundational to Western esoteric traditions, especially during the Renaissance. The Kybalion, published in 1908 by the pseudonymous authors Three Initiates, is one of the most recognized texts outlining the Hermetic principles. While it isn't an ancient text, the Kybalion distills the core teachings of Hermeticism into 7 principles that are said to describe the laws governing reality and human consciousness. The 7 Hermetic Principles. 1. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. The first and most fundamental Hermetic principle is mentalism, which posits that the universe is fundamentally mental in nature. This principle suggests that everything in existence, whether it is a star, a planet, or a thought in your mind, is a mental creation of the all, a term often used to refer to the source or God. In essence, the universe itself is a mind, and all physical and spiritual phenomena arise from the mental plane. This principle is particularly profound because it offers an alternative to the materialistic worldview of modern science. According to the principle of mentalism, physical reality does not exist independently of the mind. Instead, it arises from the thoughts and perceptions of a higher, universal consciousness. Modern resonance. In recent years, this idea resonates with ideas found in quantum physics and simulation theory. For example, quantum physicist Max Planck suggested that consciousness is the foundation of reality, saying, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." This view aligns closely with the Hermetic understanding of the universe. Additionally, simulation theory, popularized by thinkers like Nick Bostrom, proposes that our reality might be a simulated construct created and controlled by a higher intelligence. In this context, the principle of mentalism proposes that, like a computer simulation, the universe itself is programmed through mental consciousness. 2. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below. as below, so above. The second principle, correspondence, emphasizes the relationship between the macrocosm, the universe, and the microcosm, the individual. This principle asserts that everything in the universe follows a similar pattern, meaning that the laws and structures that govern the cosmos also apply to the smallest parts of reality, such as atoms and subatomic particles. The phrase, as above, so below, as below, so above, means that what happens in one level of reality is reflected in others. For instance, the way planets orbit the sun mirrors how electrons orbit an atom's nucleus. This symmetry suggests that there are universal laws that apply to all levels of existence, whether celestial, earthly, or personal. Historical context. This principle has roots in ancient Egyptian thought, which often emphasized the connection between the macrocosm and the microcosm. The famous Egyptian philosopher Plato spoke of the ideal forms that existed in the mind of the divine, suggesting that physical manifestations were reflections of these higher ideals. Scientific reflection. In modern science, chaos theory and fractals provide fascinating examples of how complex systems at different scales often mirror each other. For example, in chaos theory, small changes at the micro level can lead to large-scale consequences, reflecting the interconnectedness of all things. 3. The principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves and vibrates. The principle of vibration states that everything in the universe is in constant motion and vibration. This principle asserts that all matter, energy, and even thought are forms of vibration or frequency. According to Hermetic teachings, nothing is truly at rest. Whether it's a rock, a tree, or a thought, everything is constantly vibrating at different frequencies. Scientific insights. In modern science, the concept of vibration and frequency is deeply embedded in the study of quantum mechanics. Physicist Albert Einstein famously stated that everything is energy. In quantum theory, all matter is composed of particles, and even these particles are in motion, constantly vibrating at a quantum level. String theory, a leading theory in physics, suggests that the fundamental building blocks of the universe are tiny, vibrating strings. These strings vibrate at different frequencies, and the pattern of these vibrations determines the type of particle and ultimately the properties of matter. This concept resonates with the Hermetic principle of vibration. Moreover, Nikola Tesla famously said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Tesla's insights into energy and frequency align with the ancient Hermetic idea that everything is in constant motion and vibration. Real-life applications. In everyday life, the principle of vibration can be seen in how certain environments, music, and even thoughts can impact our mood and energy levels. Sound frequencies are known to have profound effects on the human body and mind. For instance, binaural beats, a type of sound wave therapy, are used to alter brainwave patterns and improve mental states, such as relaxation, focus, or even healing. In energy healing practices like Reiki and Qigong, practitioners often work with the flow of energy or vibration in the body to promote physical and emotional healing. These traditions recognize that when the energy within the body is out of balance or blocked, it can lead to illness, and restoring balance involves shifting the vibrations within the body. 4. The principle of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. The principle of polarity suggests that everything in existence has an opposite or polar counterpart. Good and bad, light and dark, hot and cold. These opposites are not separate but are actually two extremes of the same thing. According to this principle, everything contains its opposite within itself, and these opposites are simply different expressions of the same underlying reality. Philosophical and scientific reflections. The principle of polarity is central to many philosophical and psychological systems. In Eastern philosophies, such as Taoism, the concept of opposites is explored through the yin and yang symbol. Yin and yang represent complementary forces, with each containing a seed of the other. For example, light cannot exist without darkness, and joy cannot exist without sorrow.
In psychology, Carl Jung's theory of the shadow self mirrors the Hermetic concept of polarity. Jung believed that the parts of ourselves we repress or deny, the shadow, aspects of our personality, are still integral parts of our psyche. In facing and integrating these opposing forces within ourselves, we achieve psychological wholeness. The scientific principle of energy conservation also connects with the principle of polarity. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It simply changes form. For example, the energy in a closed system might transform from potential energy into kinetic energy, but it is always present in one form or another, much like how opposites exist in a constant state of transformation. The principle of rhythm. Everything flows in and out. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The principle of rhythm states that everything in the universe operates according to cycles or rhythms. This includes everything from the cycles of the moon and seasons to the rhythms of our thoughts, emotions, and physical states. Like the ebb and flow of the tides, all things move in cycles of advance and retreat, action and rest, rise and fall. Natural examples. This principle is easy to observe in nature. The moon's phases, waxing and waning, create the rhythm of tides on Earth. The seasons follow a cyclical pattern of birth, spring, growth, summer, decay, autumn, and rest, winter. These natural rhythms have profound effects on ecosystems, influencing animal migrations, plant growth, and even human activities. In human life, rhythms manifest in biological cycles, such as the circadian rhythm, the body's natural 24-hour cycle of sleep and wakefulness. The body also undergoes cyclical changes such as growth, aging, and reproduction, following the rhythm of life. The principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. The principle of cause and effect is one of the most straightforward Hermetic laws, stating that every action has a corresponding reaction. Nothing happens by chance, and every effect is the result of a specific cause. This principle underscores the interconnectedness of all events and emphasizes the responsibility individuals have for their actions, as every decision or action ripples through the universe. Philosophical insights. The principle of cause and effect is central to moral philosophy, particularly in concepts like karma in Eastern religions. The idea of karma suggests that our actions have consequences, and that the effects of our actions will return to us, whether positive or negative. This aligns with the Hermetic law that all effects have a cause, and every cause creates a ripple effect throughout existence. In ethics, philosophers like Immanuel Kant and Aristotle also emphasized the cause-effect relationship in moral decisions. Kant's categorical imperative suggests that we should act in a way that the effects of our actions could become a universal law for all people. Similarly, Aristotle's concept of telos, or the final cause, stresses that every action has a purpose or end, contributing to the grand design of the universe. 7. The principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. The final Hermetic principle is gender, which posits that everything contains both masculine and feminine aspects. These aspects are not necessarily tied to biological sex, but represent complementary forces of creation and manifestation. The masculine principle is associated with action, will, and logic, while the feminine principle is associated with receptivity, intuition, and creativity. Historical and modern context. In alchemy, the concept of gender is embodied in the union of the king and queen, or the solar and lunar forces, which are believed to combine to create the philosopher's stone, symbolizing the completion of the alchemical process of transformation. This duality can also be seen in the Taoist philosophy of yin and yang, which suggests that the harmonious interplay of these two energies creates balance in the universe. In modern psychology, Carl Jung's theory of the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine aspects of the unconscious mind, reflects the Hermetic principle of gender. Jung argued that integration of both the anima, feminine, and animus, masculine, leads to psychological wholeness. Conclusion. The 7 Hermetic principles offer a powerful lens through which to understand the universe and our place in it. These principles reveal the underlying unity of existence and offer timeless wisdom for spiritual growth, personal transformation, and harmonious living. From mentalism to gender, each principle unlocks deeper layers of reality, bridging science, philosophy, and mysticism into a coherent framework that is as relevant today as it was in ancient times. In a world often dominated by materialism and separation, the Hermetic teachings remind us of the interconnectedness of all things and encourage us to align ourselves with the natural rhythms of the universe.